So that's kind of early Green Party history. So since the merger into the Green Party of the United States, it's been around since 2000, and it's run presidential campaigns every year to varying degrees. Um, Most recently was the Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker campaign in 2020. Um, some kind of quick stats here is that one kind of common criticism that will get kind of flung is that, oh, you never win as a Green, or, there aren't Greens elected or something like that. And, the party's been collecting information. And so, for example, there's been over 1,200 elected Greens nationwide since the party was formed. And that's probably honestly even kind of a lowball number because of the way every state has its own laws and tracks candidates, and sometimes candidates don't always get listed as Green Party candidates. Sometimes they get listed as independents because of the way election laws work, and just sometimes it's kind of hard to track down everyone in history that ever ran that was really a Green, So this is probably kind of underselling it a little bit, but just to give you an idea, lots of Greens win, and it is true that it's mostly at local levels, but also local offices get forgotten way too often. A lot of important change can happen at local levels to make sure that people have housing, to make sure that they have food, to make sure that the water is clean in a neighborhood, to make sure that the school district is meeting the needs of the community. There's a lot of important things that happen at local levels, and there's a lot of things that Greens have done at local levels that's very important. There have been a few Greens that have won state office in party history too, although I don't think any of them. I think the ones that did win have all retired. I don't believe there's anyone in state office currently, but that's also a criticism. Sometimes here, oh, Greens can't win. Well, no, they do. They have won. We have to build a movement to make sure they win, but we can win. It's not impossible. It's something that we can build toward and win.
One area that we tend to win more easily is nonpartisan races.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can say you're not elected to these key places, but a little bit of looking into ballot access and you'll find out why, right? That we often face massive signature requirements just to get on the ballot, let alone to actually run and compete with corporate candidates from the capitalist parties. So a lot of and when you run in a nonpartisan race, you don't get listed as a Green, right? It's nonpartisan, even though you are a Green. And in Illinois, we have a Green mayor in Galesburg. He's been a Green Party member for decades. He's an author, he's a college professor. He's on the city council for 10 years before he won his mayor race. But he may or may not. I don't maintain the database that people keep, but he may not be considered a Green mayor because it's a nonpartisan race where no one has a party title. Another example would be in Lisa Savage, the U.S. Senate candidate in Maine in 2020, was probably one of the more high-profile Green campaigns in that cycle, but Lisa's not on the list. Because Lisa, for reasons of ballot access, ran as an independent, not as a Green on paper. So when it comes to, was Lisa a Green candidate? Yes, absolutely. She was endorsed by the Green Party. She was a Green, or is a Green, and ran a Green campaign in terms of policies and values. But when it came down to putting it on paper, she was an independent, not a Green. So counting us gets complicated, and that's on purpose. There's a reason. The complicated U.S. electoral system is by design, and put in place by the major two parties to solidify their power.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of touches on that last bullet point there, that we reached in 2016 kind of the high water mark where the Jill Stein Pajama Baraka campaign was on the ballot in, I believe, 47 states, and then a write-in in the rest. So like anyone in the U.S. could vote for them that year. But there were a lot of challenges in 2020, partly because of an ongoing pandemic made it really hard to meet all the ballot access requirements. And then also the ballot access requirements themselves were made more difficult in many states. So it was a bit of an uphill battle. So unfortunately, we didn't get as many states, but just it kind of shows you the reach of the Green Party, that it's still across the country and in many states, and we can get ballot access in many states, even despite the uphill climb it is. We still get ballot access regularly in many states. Um, and while I think the ballot access should be more equitable, it's also fair to say that we have to organize and build a big campaign to win anyway. So um, we should kind of keep that in mind, that should keep fighting to win. So